Welcome back to Colonizing Colorado. I'm glad you're still with us on this mushroom cultivation journey. We appreciate your business, and we're here to answer all your questions with some amazing instructional videos. You're probably watching this video right now because you purchased one of our ready-to-fruit buckets. At Colonizing Colorado, we want to make the process easy for you. So if you're first starting out, these ready-to-fruit buckets are effective, simple, and very, very fun. What we have here is a fully fruited lion's mane bucket. You'll notice that your lion's mane bucket has an appearance like this. But remember, if you have oyster mushrooms or if you have shiitake or reishi mushrooms, the process will be very similar. We're going to harvest this bucket now. You're going to reap the fruits of what you sowed. Determine when your bucket is ready to harvest. You can do this by carefully monitoring during the mushroom growth stage. If your mushroom looks like this, almost like a cauliflower, it's starting to mature. If you're going to eat this mushroom, it's ideal to pick this mushroom in particular when it's younger and doesn't have such a pronounced appearance like this. Now let's get to harvesting. Grab some isopropyl 70% alcohol and wipe down your gloves. Now you're ready to start picking the mushrooms. What you're going to want to do is grab a paper towel and set it to the side. We lay out these paper towels because it's very important to keep your mushroom fruiting bodies clean, and always inspect for any sort of contamination or strange colors, smells, or appearances. Now we're ready to harvest the mushrooms themselves. What I want you to do is grab the mushroom here at the base, as close to the bucket as possible. Holding the base, I want you to gently but firmly rock the mushroom, and you'll feel it begin to tear. Once it does, you can place this mushroom to the side. You'll notice that there's still some mushroom fruit hanging out of this hole of the bucket. You're going to want to clean that up. This will only lead to decay and potentially introduce any sort of contamination that you don't want to have. Move to the next biggest and most mature spot and repeat the process. And then you'll want to examine the remaining holes to determine if those are ready to pick. If you notice that your mushrooms are fruiting still, but they're not mature enough to pick, you're going to want to leave the bucket back in the ideal fruiting conditions until those finish. Then take them off just as we did, and you can place the bucket into a dark place. Give it some water by spraying the holes and let it rest for 4 to 5 days. Then place it back in the ideal fruiting conditions and reap the second flush. You can get several flushes from this bucket. It's difficult sometimes to determine exactly how many you will get or should get, and that's because it all depends on the size of the mushroom when you harvest it and the conditions in which you keep it in. Congratulations on harvesting your first mushrooms from your already ready-to-fruit bucket. Next, you can start advancing into more advanced mycology and build one of these buckets yourself. All you need is a bag of our grains and a bag of our Master's Mix substrate, which you can find on our website. Now that you have your mushrooms harvested, what do you do with them? That's a good question. If you're going to cook these mushrooms, you need to use them within 1 week's time, and you need to keep them in the refrigerator in a Tupperware. You don't want them to spoil, and you never want to eat spoiled mushrooms. If you're not using them to eat directly, we highly recommend you use them as a supplement for your health. You can do this a number of ways. The most simple way is by just placing it into your oven on the lowest heat setting to dehydrate them, or ideally, purchase a dehydrator, which we also sell on our website. Place them into your dehydrator and run them overnight. If they're not cracker dry in the morning, you'll want to run them a bit longer. Once they're dry and crisp, you'll want to process them. A coffee grinder works great. Actually, adding it into your coffee works great. And if you're interested in eating them, Lion's Mane makes amazing crab cakes and steaks. You can find some of those recipes on our website at colonizingcolorado.com. Thanks, and until next time, much love.